Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Everyone make sure, like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. You know the drill.
You know the story.
Larry
H. Parker.
2 point. You know the story. I guess that guy when he was
dude's like paralyzed, they just prop him up. They prop him up.
Well, no, he was missing a leg. So you saw the one where he's sitting on the motorcycle and it's the side shot, and so he's like laying there like, oh, look at this Harley I got. He had no leg on the other side of that motorcycle.
Yeah, there's a freaking broom propping him up.
Yeah, just like a little person back there, just like doing like a military press. All right. So we got some semi-breaking news. Adam Schefter, NFL insider, went on Adam Shine's Sirius XM radio show.
A lot of Adams.
A lot of Adam. Adam talking to Adam. Adam on Adam.
And
he was asked about Raiders interim coach, Rich Bisaccia. Here was that conversation.
What are you hearing on Bisaccia? Does he have a chance to keep this job?
I don't think that he believes that he has a chance to keep the job, which is unfortunate because he's done a great job. They faced a tremendous amount of adversity. He's well regarded and well respected amongst his players and the people in the organization. And look, maybe he does enough this postseason that he changes Mark Davis's mind. And that's why, again, I never like these absolute answers this time of the year. But going into the postseason, I don't think he believes he's safe. I think they believe that they're going to be making a change, but it doesn't diminish the great job that he's done.
So I'm with Schefter in the sense that, there's an absolute thought here, or that there's already a decision being made. I don't buy it. Right? There's too many moving parts, right? I mean, Bisaccia wins the Super Bowl, right? What if we get blown out 60-0, right? What if there's so many things that could happen that could alter Mark Davis or whoever's thinking. Plus, who's the GM gonna? Are they gonna keep Mayock or lose Mayock? Is that new GM gonna have say in who the new head coach is? Whatever. The thing I found most interesting, Soto, is that Schefter is saying that Bisaccia doesn't think the job is his, which is the most interesting part to me because, I've been working in this business for a long time, and the firings can come out of nowhere. The promotions don't. You're never just like, oh my God, I can't believe these guys gave me a promotion. Oh my God, I can't believe I got a raise. Oh my God, I can't believe my boss went out of his way to do this really, really good thing for me. You know that's coming. You're busting your ass and you see signs. Firings, demotions, that kind of stuff, that can come out of nowhere. You generally tend to know when that is too. But
firings, I've never fired somebody that didn't know they were getting fired. Like, they didn't know they were going to get fired that day, but they knew that they did shit that they could get fired for.
True. I mean, for instance, when I was working at Cold Stone as a teenager during that, when the Raiders went to the Super Bowl to play the Bucs, I no-showed work because I wanted to watch the Raiders in the Super Bowl.
You knew you were going.
When I went into work that Monday, they had my paycheck ready and said, "All right, you're fired, Clifford." I was like, "Yeah, I kind of thought so," but it wasn't worth it because we got our shit kicked in. But my point being, I find it very interesting that Bisaccia thinks, "No, I don't have this job locked up at all."
I think that he feels that he hasn't shown enough. Now, it's one thing, and it's difficult, and follow me here, because I was really thinking about this. I don't know that he's really he's been given the opportunity to show that he can lead a franchise moving forward. I think he was given a talented roster, and he just had to kind of keep the ship going in the right direction, type of thing. I don't know that maybe I've been in jobs where I was like, what the hell am I doing here? I don't know. Hopefully I learned quickly. I got hired at it was
Chippendales. You were so lost.
It was home. It wasn't Home Depot. It was Home Base. I don't remember Home Base. I think it was before Lowe's. Home Base, and they put me in this department. I didn't know anything about anything, and I'm just like, what is going on here? I'm not an electrician. I don't know anything about electronics, how that shit works. It's like, if Bisaccia knows he's in over his head, I can see where he doesn't feel like, okay, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm just better off being a special teams coach or whatever.
Do you feel like he thinks he's over his head, or that he doesn't, or just Mark Davis just doesn't think he's getting the job? Because I've never gotten the vibe from him that he seemed like overwhelmed or lost. He has 50 years of coaching experience, right? He's been all over the place.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a difference between feeling like out of place and like, I don't have what it takes, and I don't think my boss thinks I have what it takes.
I don't think that he feels the situation that he's in allows him the opportunity to show what he can do. I think that he, just like you said, he didn't come in and change a bunch of stuff and do that. He kind of just took over what was already there, right?
Yeah.
Olsen knows
That's
the
what
offense.
needed to be done. That was
exactly. But
yeah.
I don't know that this opportunity allows Bisaccia the right kind of like platform to show that he can actually build and lead a team with a GM and have those types of conversations. Because I don't know that he's been in those conversations before. I mean, I don't know that he hasn't, but especially with the Raiders, I don't really think he's been in that conversation where I need this guy, I need that guy, this guy can play here, this guy can play there. Here's the depth chart. Not just who the stars are, those are great, but who are the guys that I can work on? Who are the guys that I can get to be my backups or my practice squad guys who can end up being studs in a couple of years, right? And I don't know that this opportunity that he's been that he's received with the Raiders is giving him the opportunity to show what he can do. That's why I think if Bisaccia doesn't feel he's going to get the job, it's because of that, not because he can't do it or he doesn't deserve it, but he's just kind of like, okay, well, let me take over. You know, the fucking ship captain got drunk and fell over and drowned. Yeah. You know, he has all the crew and the ship and everything ready to rock. Let me just make sure that we go in the right direction, type of thing.
Well, I look at like Mark Davis's hiring habits, and like he got rid of Jack Del Rio 2 seasons, like just 1 season removed from being 12-4, having a quarterback that might have won MVP, Derek Carr broken leg away from who knows what we would have done in those playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why? Not because Jack Del Rio was doing a terrible job. It was because the golden goose that he wanted, John Gruden, was available. That's been his hiring practices so far.
I think it was a little bit of both.
Well, if Del Rio had won the Super Bowl before, he wasn't going to fire him.
Whoa. Hang on a second. Hang on. You do this all the time. If he would have had a decent showing that year, if he would have won like 9-10 games or whatever, if they didn't just win 4 games, if they would have had a decent season, they imploded. That team just was not, at the end of the year, they just didn't want to play for him anymore. They were just not responding to what was going on there. If they would have had a decent season, it would have been a lot different narrative that year to get rid of Jack Del Rio, because then John Gruden's not going to coach anywhere else because no one else is going to give him the power or the money that the Raiders were going to do. So I think he would have waited maybe another year to see what Del Rio can do, because you don't want to fire a coach that's winning and who's taking you to the playoffs. But the team imploded the year after in 2017, and it just so happened that okay, my team imploded. It kind of gave him the reason to look somewhere else, and gave him the reason to have that open up that conversation with Gruden.
Well, there's a gray area, right? Like Jack Del Rio is literally, this is
literally
the only Raiders coach with a winning record since Tom Flores. Think about that for a minute. Since Tom Flores, no head coach for the Raiders had a winning record with the Raiders.
Hall of Famer Tom Flores, put some respect on that man's name.
The man, Tom fucking Flores, right?
Hall of Famer, HOF.
Think about that. And he fired him, right? So like you're right. Like there was that gray area, right? Where was that tipping point? I feel like that tipping point was kind of closer. And also maybe Gruden was like, hey, I just saw that you guys had a bad season. Maybe this is my time to make my move too. Obviously a lot of moving parts. My point being, Mark Davis fired the only coach of the last 30 years for the Raiders who had a winning record. 1 season removed from an amazing season until Derek Carr broke his leg, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not afraid to get rid of a guy who's had some success when he's got his replacement. So that's what I think this is for Mark Davis. I don't think it's clearly about what Bisaccia does from here on out, right? If we go really deep into the playoffs, like he's gonna be hard to get rid of. If we get completely trashed on Saturday, a little bit easier. But I think with Mark Davis, it's way more, who do I have waiting in the wings that I'm excited about? And less about, well, if Bisaccia gets one more win, then I'll be convinced. I think Mark Davis thinks more like me, not like I got to get rid of him. He didn't do it. It's, can I improve? Do I have my guy ready?
That's what you have to be. That's the way you have to be. And the thing is, you have to look at Bisaccia and be like, okay, have I seen enough from Bisaccia to make me believe that this guy can lead a franchise for the next 5 years? This guy has what it takes to be able to grab the reins of this franchise and push it where it needs to go, along with the help of the front office and GM and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
If this is the guy on the field that's going to be able to get these guys going. If he's not convinced, then I think that his interview is just going to be a formality. If he doesn't convince Mark Davis that he's the guy, then honestly, I do think, and there has been some discussion back and forth. Do you keep Bisaccia? Do you not keep Bisaccia? I think you can keep Bisaccia. I think he's professional. He's been around long enough, and he has the respect enough of the team to know that, hey, I need to make sure not to undercut anyone who comes in here. And I can be like an assistant head coach, but I can still be around this team because he's so well respected.
So that's the other quandary here. So I have a couple more questions for you on this and a couple more takes, but that's one of them.
Okay.
I would love to keep Bisaccia in the franchise, right? Clearly, players love him. Good special teams coach. Mm-hmm. In a pinch, if you need an interim head coach, he'll do a good job by interim standards, right? 50 years experience, he's great. But what are the odds that if a new head coach comes in, he's going to let Bisaccia, who was the past head coach, just kind of be there and still have another like kind of rival leader in the clubhouse? Like how?
I don't know that it would be a rival leader.
He would, though. Whether I'm sure. I'm not saying Bisaccia would do it in a nefarious way. Like he would, intentionally undercut the new head coach or like try to start a mutiny. But when you're like, all right, here's our leader, right? Like CEOs don't get demoted to CFOs. They get fired and they're gone. Head coaches don't get demoted back to OC. They're always gone. And that's because the new head coach comes in, especially football coaches, right? Like these are alpha males. These are leaders, my way, right? Even the most, I want to work with you guys and player-friendly guys, they're still alphas. They're still kings of their kingdom. And so the idea that Bisaccia was like, oh yeah, we can just like let you go back to special teams. I don't think a head coach will do that. I hope they do. I don't think they will. I think he's going to be gone if he's not head coach again.
It's possible. I mean, but to a lesser extent, I know it's not a head coach, but Marinelli took over as defensive coordinator and he came back as a line coach. And on this team, the defensive coordinator, but on this team, a defensive coordinator is pretty much another head coach because Gruden was not walking into that defensive meeting at all.
Yeah. This is the other part too. If Bisaccia doesn't get the head coaching job, does another franchise swoop him up?
No.
You don't think so? Right now, there's 8 vacancies, 8 head coaching vacancies. You don't think he'll get interviews? You don't think anyone's interested in Bisaccia who can take a franchise that was everything that could have gone wrong with this team went wrong, and he still willed them to the playoffs? You don't think there's a single NFL team that's going to be like, let's talk to Bisaccia and see what's up?
I'm sure they'll interview him or he'll get some. I don't know, man. Look, and I'm not trying to put any type of parallel on Bisaccia as a person in his personal life. Okay, I'm not saying that. I'm using this as an example. Fucking that piece of shit Sandusky from Penn State. Okay. He had a great defense every single year. He was the assistant head coach of Penn State. Never got another head coaching job. You know why? Because people know that he's walking around smelling like little boys' booty holes. That's why. So I'm not saying that Bisaccia has that thing in his, like a skeleton in his closet like that. But there is a reason why a respected coach like Bisaccia spent 50 years in the league and never got a chance to be a head coach anywhere. He's missing something. He's lacking something. There's something not there. When a system and an organization is already set in place, it's easier to just come in there and be like, all right. Is it easier to go in there and win like that? Probably not, because no one else has done it. But he didn't have to basically like create the whole type of infrastructure of the team and how the team is run and what they're going to run, offensive, defensive, all this shit, right? So he came in here, like you said, with the ship that was already running, and he didn't change anything. He just thought, okay, let's just keep moving forward. Let me just kind of get the guys happy, get them on the same page, keep them motivated, keep them driven, right?
Sure,
there's something that's not there.
But there's literally hundreds of coaches in football that are like that, right? Been around forever, well respected, do great at their job, and maybe they just didn't do head coaching. With Bisaccia, I almost feel like he never had like the real drive to to be cutthroat enough to be a head coach. Does that make sense? Like he had a question in a press conference, and it was kind of a weird question. Like, hey, 10 years from now, 15 years ago, when you're retired and you look back and you're watching these football games, you know, what do you think you're going to think of your time? And he's like, when I retire, I'm not watching football. So he's like,
that's a problem.
That's very different. Well, it's only a problem if he doesn't do his job well, right? Like there's a lot of people who are amazing at their job, and as soon as they retire, they never want to do it again.
RJ, I'm telling you right now, that's a problem. If you're willing, there's only 32 of these jobs in the entire world. And if you're going to be, I'm talking about from an owner's perspective. If an owner's going to want to give a guy a job, they're going to want to give a guy a job that is all about football, right? That's the guy they want. When you see Bisaccia talking about, oh yeah, you can't really live in the scoreboard, you know, it's the world's not about, you know, wins and losses. We're like, what? What are you talking about? That's your job. That's your job.
And then he won 4 in a row after saying that. So
but the thing is, RJ, but that's the point. Is it's not all about what you do. It's also about playing the game. I don't think, because I've worked with a lot of people who could have done my job or even my boss's job, but they were always like those like frontline workers, but they never wanted to. I'm not going to suck up. I'm not going to do this. You got to play the game sometimes.
Well, that's my point. Is like there's capabilities and perception of capabilities, right? They're two very separate things. Bisaccia isn't a sexy hire. He doesn't give great one-liners. He's not this giant ball of energy. He doesn't pound his chest and say how much he loves football all the time. He just does his job. He just shuts up and does his job. And he asks everyone on the Raiders, he does a good job, right? Just because you're not that big personality and that loud person that gets attention and gets that sexy look like a Harbaugh or a Gruden or guys like that, that doesn't mean you're not capable. That just means you're not that personality. But I think you're not wrong though, Soto, in that like owners are attracted to that. Owners are like, oh wow, that guy sounds like a football coach.
There's too many guys out there that know how to play the game that are going to outshine Bisaccia in a interview setting. There's too many guys.
Well, that's why I think with whether we keep him or not, or someone else comes calling for him for a job, is they're going to look at his results, right? And they're going to say, wow, like this guy's not in your face. He's not loud. He's not the sexy hire. But fuck, man, he took this team into the, AFC Championship or however far we go. Like that's going to resonate. Like what are we talking about? Results. And if he goes on a 6-7 game win streak to close out the season before getting knocked out of the playoffs, like that is a genuine result that can't be ignored. Now, whether that translates into a job or not is another thing, but that's real deal. That's not pomp. That's not circumstance. That's no sizzle, all steak. That has to be there has to be attention given to that.
If you're a GM and your job is dependent upon the success of the people that you hire, are you going to want to hire a guy that has shown that his life is not about football, that has shown that his life is not about wins and losses? You're going to be a little bit more hesitant. He's going to have to go in there and he's going to have to do a freaking Will Smith with no shirt on type of interview. Like he's going to have to really do, and he's not that guy. That's what I'm talking about, playing the game. He's not that guy. He's going to be brutally honest with you. He's going to be very direct, which is why the players love him. But the problem is the players don't hire a coach.
It's a knock. You're right in that, like being sexy, loud, the hot coach, being the personality is
not about being
bonus.
Sexy. It's about making them believe that you're going to do it.
The sales job, right? It's a bonus
to
have
job. And Bisaccia is not that.
Okay. Well, it's two things, right? Like, let's say you're looking to hire a salesman, right? And one guy's personality's through the roof, knocks your socks off, funny. And you're like, wow, this guy would be a great salesman. He's like, all right, what's your history? Well, I don't really have one. I'm kind of new. You're like, okay. And you hire another salesman you hire is like, hey, I have this whole portfolio. I've done $10 million in sales the last 7 years, but I'm a dud. Like I'm not entertaining. I'm not fun. Like you're saying, like the results guy has no chance. It's an exaggeration, but I'm trying to make a point here. Like again, like him being
but the thing is, you're not
that personality is not being that is a knock, But I'm not saying it's like
I
a
don't think
critical
so, RJ.
error he can't overcome.
No. Your example was way off because you're making this guy out to be like a JV head coach that ends up getting a football franchise. I don't really have a sales experience, but that's the job that I'm interviewing for. Like, no, these guys, if you're gonna, you have to have the sizzle and the steak if you're gonna get that job. But and so if you just have the steak and no sizzle, you're not gonna get that attention, man.
It's not impossible though. Can you admit that? Right? Like you
Of
can.
Of course, I mean they can hire me. It's possible for them to hire my ass.
Okay, now who's talking about ridiculous comparisons? Like, come on, like he was literally given, he was literally given the interim head coaching job. Like he was given
but Mark
that.
Davis has never told me I'm not hired. He's never told me I'm not a candidate.
I bet you
all
he
I'm
has,
saying is
in his sleep.
Look, he's having the interim job now. He has the interim job now. Okay, yes, he does. Is it possible for him to get hired? Of course it is. Would I be upset if he gets hired? Of course not. If they feel, if Mayock and Mr. Davis feel like this is the right way going forward, I would be a little bit disappointed because I do feel, although playing much better, our offensive defense, like BD said, is a little antiquated and can use to be refreshed a little bit. And that probably won't happen if Bisaccia stays. If Bisaccia stays, I think the whole coaching staff is going to stay. And I think that maybe we need some tweaks here and there. But it's possible. I think the possibility is very low. The probability is very low. The percentage is really low on that. But it's always possible. And how the team performs moving forward against good competition week after week, how he handled, because he's getting better at handling. Game management. He's getting better at.
He got light years better.
He's getting better.
Arguably the most conservative. He was arguably the most conservative head coach in football for the first few games, and then he's like 4-0 on his last 4th and short attempts. Like he's gotten really good in his game management. Really good.
Well, yeah, and even his press conferences are getting better. So I mean,
of the press conferences.
Man, it matters, man. The way you communicate matters.
Well, I'm with you. He's not knocking anyone's socks off in an interview. He doesn't have that type of personality. I guess where we disagree is like
neither was Dan Campbell.
I acknowledge it's a knock, but it's not an insurmountable knock when you look at what he's accomplished with this team this season. I think that's something.
But then again, look, you have a Jim Harbaugh who's.
Do we though? I'm not buying that Harbaugh's going anywhere.
Look, I'm not saying. But if you want to use an example, you have a guy like Harbaugh who's been to Super Bowls and who's been successful wherever he goes, and he's interviewing for the job. Okay. Then you have a guy like what's this dude's name from freaking Miami?
Flores.
No
longer with Miami.
No longer with Miami.
Dude, he's gonna have the pick. He's gonna have the pick of the litter. He's gonna be able to get paid, bro. He's gonna get whatever head coaching job. That's the other. So there's the other. We'll end with this, and these are the other parts of the equations, is who's available, right? Like that's the other big part. If all of these maybes, right? If all these maybes, Harbaugh and Flores wants to be here, and the Clemson coach, and like let's say everyone wants to be a Raider head coach, all right, Bisaccia's chances are probably getting pretty slim, right? If all these rumors of all these sexy coaches and they're all just staying put, like I think they are, like I really don't think Harbaugh or any of these guys are going anywhere. I don't. They're all up for contracts. That's why they're saying they want other jobs. They just want leverage when they go renegotiate their contracts. That's all it is. That's the big part of it. And it's also how far do we go? Like those are the two giant variables moving forward when we eventually get to the offseason. Who's available and how far did Bisaccia take us? I think that's going to decide his fate more than anything, I would argue.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, we'll have that's our thing on Bisaccia. Again, Adam Schefter saying that Bisaccia, reporting to that Bisaccia does not think that he has the head coaching job all lined up, which tells me a lot. When a guy who currently has the job thinks he's not going to keep the job, that says a lot to me. Tomorrow, we will have our full breakdown. Playoffs, wild card weekend, first game of Super Wild Card Weekend.
Ooh, we're leading it off.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, leadoff hitters at Cincinnati. Weather's going to be cold. They beat us in week 11. We're a much better team now. Can't wait to break that down with you tomorrow. So we'll release that video Friday around midday, and we'll do the post-game show a little later. right? Normally we do the post-game show right after the game, but because there's a playoff game right after, we're like, let's let everyone just watch the second game.
Yeah,
We'll do the
have fun.
post-game show.
Watch the
Yeah,
game.
have fun, enjoy the game, get you nice and sauced. We'll do the post-game show at the end of the day after all the games are done on Saturday, and we'll do a live post-game show. All right, until then, knock on wood if you're with me.